Texas, we're just chilling in the shade for the E3 Spark Plugs Lakefest presented by Greater Austin Development. All the big names are here. Yes, they're going to have to battle man, machine, and the elements, but we'll throw in another battle that they have to take on. It is the economy, the war of attrition. That story is going to unfold next as the Lucas Oil IHBA Drag Boat Series is on the water.
Great drag race to close out the day. Silvi will take the win.
That's a boat in the far lane. Man, that thing hooks is sponsoring, and then it gets pretty ugly right there.
Yeah, we get serious about racing. There's no doubt about it. When the lid goes down, I'm there to beat him.
There's a lot of tough competition out here. We're fixing that to put a sham mamma lamb on. That's Texas. We'll go fast.
Ken Stout and Alan Reinhardt in Marble Falls, Texas with the Lucas Oil IHBA Drag Boat Racing Series. It is the E3 Spark Plugs Lakefest presented by Greater Austin Development. And if there is ever a place to watch a drag boat race, this is it. And Alan, as you know, the one scary thing about this facility is it's also very narrow.
And when you consider that a lot of times with these boats, you aim them as much as you drive them, that comes into play. Let's take a look at qualifying with 4 quality top fuel hydros on the water this weekend.
John Haas is on top of the field with a 5 flat, 226 miles per hour. He'll have some tough competition before it's all over with.
It's kind of hanging out with John Haas in the pits. He's your current series points leader and defending champion. We've just been talking about the economy. How many gallons of fuel does it take for you to run 1 quarter-mile pass?
Running average 8-10 gallons we use in a pass.
8 to 10 gallons at about $30 to $40 a gallon. So you're talking about quick $300 to $400 in fuel. Add in the oil and everything else that wear and tear. You're about $500, maybe $600 each time you run that quarter-mile pass.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's just in liquid, obviously. I mean, there's a lot more parts and carnage that goes along with that.
A lot of guys on the crew that have to come with you week in and week out. Yourself, it's not just a driver a boat and hook it to the back of your ride. What are you guys doing to try to reconcile your budget?
Well, there really isn't much you can do. If you haven't got the financing behind you to go, a lot of guys are parking their rigs. Lou Osmond, the owner of this rig, we're not, funded real well for our sponsors. He pretty much does it all himself, so he's digging in his pocket, basically the size of it, deeper to come run these races. I talked with him earlier today about this, and one of the things that came up to him was what it costs to go to this race this year versus last year. And in fuel alone, just for the tow rig and to get us here is a $2,000 increase in just fuel alone.
$500 is just a smidgen. In 2000, the IHRA champ Don Lampett said they were spending $5,000 a pass in a top fuel car. Imagine what these guys are spending in 2008. John Haas and James Ray will do battle here. James Ray coming out of the top alcohol hydro ranks, now in a fuel boat.
James Ray still kind of learning the ropes over there in that yellow boat. Hey, welcome to Top Fuel. If you want to be the man, try to beat the champ. That's a nice looking run. James Ray hangs in for a while, but whoa, that thing got a little loose at the other end. Haas is going to win at 492. That's low ET and top speed of the meet so far.
529, 189 miles an hour as James Ray's boat gave up there at the end, but watch the boat on the left-hand side. It made a nice run. You mentioned right at the very end, it kind of danced around a little bit, but this is a really good look. A head-on pass courtesy of Super Clean. Right there, oh man, it did hop.
Current defending champion and current series points leader John Haas making it look easy. 207 at half track.
Yeah, Amos stepped it up a little bit from qualifying yesterday. Those guys run a pretty good number here Friday, and we're just trying to get through it. And he'll probably stand on her a little harder the next round, I'm sure.
A little bit more of a challenge this year. I mean, I think at this round in 2007, you already had the title locked. Not going to happen this weekend.
No, we missed a race at the start of the season and got behind points a little bit. We did regain the points lead at the last race, but we do need to win this pretty bad to get on top of it and hopefully secure that championship again this year.
Up next, a pair of Texans, Doug Verstuff and Jared Silvi. Jared Silvi driving the boat that is owned by Hoot Gibson, Dennis Gibson. We had a chance to speak with them earlier.
Jarrett, Sylvie, we're taking a look at your boat here. Double sponsons in the front end. That's one of the newer, I wouldn't say newer, but it's one of those things that really adds stability to the Top Fuel hydros.
Well, absolutely. Our bullet, our hydro it likes rough water, actually. We did in qualifying yesterday. It was pretty rough. Haas and I ran, and we trucked right down through there. Honestly, it makes a huge difference because as a driver, you can keep your foot in it, and you really don't have to worry about it because it will take the rough water.
Anyone who's ever driven a car, especially on ice or snow, gets that first time kind of spin around feeling. What was it like the first time your Top Fuel hydro started to walk?
Well, the biggest thing, we were in Augusta last year and we tried some new props and the daggum thing did a U-turn. I mean, you all saw that deal. It is just laps. I mean, you just got to have a feel. That's why I'm in the boat. He hired me for my experience, and I try to bring his equipment back in one piece, And besides that, there's no reason to get hurt. When you got some little 3-year-old running around like that, that's why his picture's in my capsule. Reminds me to think before I do something stupid.
He's been doing it for a long time. 15 championships throughout his career. Started off in River Racer, the slowest class out here. Now in Top Fuel. He's also a double division champ in Pro Mod, winning both Division 2 and 3 in the same year.
He is also not on the rope over there. You saw him just kind of idling out there. Verstuff is going to take an easy solo. Jared Silvi, I believe when he started his boat, it was in gear and took off. He shut it off and just coasted to a stop out on the course. But Doug Verstuff will come back and run the final. There it is. As soon as he started it, he had no neutral. The boat just pushed itself away from the rope, and his day came to an end.
Yep, they set these things up with enough air gap in the clutch so they won't go forward until they hit the throttle. Unfortunately, it didn't work that time.
Early on in the show, we talked about having to battle Mother Nature, a little bit of wind, a lot of heat. Doug Verstuff, second fastest qualifying time, but you had to back out of it. What happened, man?
Well, Jared obviously started in gear, and he broke the beam, and I knew I'd had one at that point. And this boat's cost between $120,000 to $150,000 to replace, and the water was pretty rough, wide capping and stuff. And what it did is, I went ahead and left, and it started beating me pretty bad, bouncing around, and which I already knew I won the round. So I just clicked it, pull the chutes, and save it for another day,
Welcome back. It's time now for a Pro Modified. These guys run on a 7-second index, and of course they qualified there as well. Up top is Brian Sanders. This is Division 2.
Look at that. The second, third, and fourth boats all qualified within 4,000ths of a second of each other. Pro Modified is some of the tightest racing in the IHBA.
We always love to watch these guys come out here and do battle, and they're dealing with the weather as well. Here's a look at how that ladder will shake down. Of course, Sanders will get the bye run, and the other 4 guys, they're going to have to do battle. And how about that? Sean Reed and Brutus Utter right off the bat. Utter is bad here in this part of the land, but Sean Reed is equally impressive.
Sean and Brutus, 2 of the guys that qualified at the same elapsed time. Let's see who's closer to that 7 seconds flat. Both of them sponson walking a little bit out there. And as they close in on the finish, that's good tight racing. 7:04 for Brutus is going to get it done. He was late on the light, but he was better on the liquid quarter mile.
Sean Reed with 2 wins in Division 1 this season comes out here and tries to take out the man that also has a win, but his was at Augusta, the previous event to this one. So Brutus Utter definitely is on a run here.
The Greater Austin Development instant replay shows you Brutus didn't get off the starting line first, but he did run closer to the index, and that'll put him in the next round.
7:04 leads to a longer day of racing, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah, we'll be back for round 2, and then hopefully to the finals.
Let's talk about the water conditions. I mean, that has to be the biggest thing going out there. I mean, to run a 7:04 in these conditions, that has to build your confidence.
Yeah, the water's pretty rough and quite windy today, so we did all right and come back with a 7:04. We should be all right.
2 more rounds, Pro Mod. They're all coming your way, so don't go anywhere.
These guys are tough. No doubt we'll go to our number 1 qualifier, Brian Sanders. And Alan, this is a great opportunity to really lock the boat down in race conditions out here today.
Brian Sanders in his qualifying run was at 7:08. Now, we did just see Brutus run 7:04. Brian knows Brutus will be his next opponent. So let's see if he can tighten up a little bit on that 7-second index. That's a nice looking run, just dancing across the top of that rough water.
And you can see it is rough. For those boats to move around like that, it is rough. The reaction time, oh so close to perfect. The 7:11, 165 miles an hour. Good mile an hour, but he's going to have to tighten up that ET a little bit.
Jay Hudgens and Terry Kane. This is the biggest matchup in round number 1 because it's 2 for 1. In a 5-boat field, the winner of this match gets a bye run into the final.
Terry Kane, this will be his 4th event of the season. He's still looking for his first round win. This would be a big one.
Terry Kane has had problems with that boat all weekend, and they continue. You saw him stand on the gas, and it just went silent. Dancing through that liquid quarter mile, 7:04 for Jay Hudgens. So we've got 2 guys running at 7:04. The number 1 qualifier, believe it or not, further from the index than anybody.
Yeah, that was a great run. Another look at it right here. On the right-hand side, Kane will lose power early on. The left side of your screen right there, Hudgens really makes a nice run, and he is dealing with the conditions. It is a rocky ride out there today.
Jay, it seems like 7:04 could be the number today in Pro Mod. You're advancing into the next round, albeit it was a little bumpy, kind of like riding in the rodeo.
Yeah, it was a little bumpy, but we got this new racing engine in here from David Kropp. It seems to be coming together for us, so we're going to try it again.
What's the secret here? I mean, when you go back to the line now, you've been down the track once today. You know it's bumpy, you know it's windy. Are you going to give it more throttle, less throttle, or is it all a feel thing?
It's all in the fuel thing and seat of the pants once you hit the waves.
All right, when we come back, we'll continue on with Pro Mod action. To the Lucas Oil IHBA Drag Boat Racing Series, it's the E3 Spark Plugs Lakefest, presented by Greater Austin Development. Time now for round 2 action of Pro Mod, and the number 1 qualifier seems to be the guy that's behind the 8 ball. That is Brian Sanders, who, by the way, is our 5th different number 1 qualifier in as many national events. He'll line up next to Brutus Utter, who's fresh off of a win at Augusta.
Brian out of Houston, Texas. Bruce out of Overland Park, Kansas. And as you know, guys in Texas are kind of territorial. You don't want a guy coming from Kansas and taking home your trophy. Well, the number 1 qualifier looked like got a little bit loose early, and at the finish line, Brutus is going to close it out 7:09 at 162 miles an hour to a 7:19. Brian Sanders got slower every run.
Reaction time advantage going to Sanders, but you said it before, he just got in a little bit of trouble right there, man. That was a big hop for that boat. Another one, he's really on a tough ride. You can watch that rooster tail. When it settles down, that means we're running smooth, but that one never really settles till they were well past half track.
Brutus, you came up here and I asked you about the water. It seems to me from the layman's eye that it's a little bit better, but you said, no way.
No, it was rougher this pass than last pass. Had to put a lot of rudder in it, and I believe that's why our ET was a little slower this pass. The boat unloaded twice, about half track and 3/4 track. It's quite a bit rougher this pass.
Bottom line is you're trying to go back-to-back. You won it in Augusta. You're going into the final round. It seems like the water's starting to lay down. That's only going to turn in, hopefully, faster runs.
Yes, it should. Later in the day, maybe the wind will calm down, and we'll have some better water.
Spectacular place to watch drag boat racing, as the backdrop is a cliff of rock. You get to hear all the sound from these guys. You can even hear the rooster tail fall whenever they shut these things down. Brutus Utter and Jay Hudgens are in the finals, and we spoke with Brutus.
Brutus, I have to tell you, in the semifinal run, it was a wild one. The boat got a little squirrely on you. You're getting just minutes away from your final round here in Pro Mod. Any changes that you guys have made?
Well, we went back and stepped on the motor a little bit, maybe pick up our time a little bit because of the rough water. The boat's unloading, so we're losing a little bit of ET. So we added a little blower, and hopefully that'll take care of that.
Trying to go back-to-back wins. You took home the win in Augusta, Georgia, hoping to pick up the win here in Marble Falls. Is that playing on your mind? Is it a confidence, like you're on a roll, or is it one of those things after today where the water's been tricky that you don't want to get ahead of yourself?
Exactly. You don't want to get ahead of yourself and lose a race over something stupid, red light, or just getting too much confidence.
Well, the bottom line is the Pro Mods are getting ready to line up. We'll see if Brutus can do it 2 times in a row.
Alan, help the fans out at home. He added a little blower. What's he talking about?
Blower drive percentage, putting a little more air into the engine, and that's a little bit more power, hoping to keep the back of the boat up on top of the water so it doesn't unload.
Reaction time advantage to Utter by a fair amount, and he will bring home the win as well. A nice lap, 7:02. That's getting it done, 165 miles per hour. In these conditions, it's about as close to perfect as you want to get.
The Greater Austin Development instant replay, and you'll watch it. He smashed the gas first, was holding the advantage on the reaction timer, and you see the boat takes a set there and just cruises right on through. He said he was trying to dial in on that 7 seconds flat. 7:02 was the best run of the weekend for anybody in Pro Mod.
Brutus, you did what you needed to do here in Marble Falls, taking the win in the Pro Mod class, but there's a little bit of controversy going on up at the top end. What happened?
Well, they switched lanes on us. We were supposed to have the inside lane, been running it all weekend, but something changed and they got their pick, so they put us on the outside, but didn't seem to matter.
Yeah, it didn't seem to matter at all. It looks like from the start to finish, you really had it in control.
Yeah, we cut a good light and run the number. It's hard to beat a 060 light with 702.
You know, you were concerned earlier in the day, the water conditions a little bit bumpy, and this was one of those things where you really didn't want to get ahead of yourself. But when people start to change, start playing some games, it's easy to get ahead of yourself. At that point, I think game on.
Yeah, you can get shook real easy out there when they start doing stuff like that, but we kept it under control and we won it. Back to back from Augusta to here, so.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, the good news for Brutus is he got back-to-back wins. The bad news is one was in Division 3, one was in Division 2. And here's a look at the guys that will be competing in Division 1 as we head back to the West Coast. Time now for the money round and Top Fuel Hydro. It'll be John Haas and Doug Verstuft, who clicked his a little bit early to save the parts and pieces, will line up against John Haas, and Terry Boyd went down to talk to him.
Hanging out with Doug Verstuft, second fastest qualifier. A year ago here in Marble Falls, it was the same scenario. It's almost deja vu. You and John Haas lined up again.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. We got to the finals again. It was a little rough this morning, and got a little luck with Jarrett not be able to make to break the beam like that. And you know, when his clutch messed up and broke the beam, we was able to do it. And so we're going to try to see if we can do it again. Last year in the finals, last year we this little screw came out. That's why we didn't win. Right here in the injector hat, and it's hung in the intake valve. Catch the birch panels and all that stuff, and that's why we didn't make it down the track last year. We'll see if we can make that difference.
How important is it here in your backyard? I mean, important enough that you have tools in your hand. You're not only are you driving, you got tools in your hand, you're making sure that little bolt's not going to come out. But how important is it for you to win this race here today in Marble Falls?
Oh, I have a lot of friends and family, and the very few sponsors that I do have, I want to impress. But most of all, you know, I just like the challenge of winning, and everybody likes to win.
Especially when you can take the champ and current series points leader down.
Yeah, well, he's pretty tough. John and the Speed Sport team, they got their stuff together. There's no doubt about it. If you beat them, you've done something in drag boat racing.
Here's the interesting thing. We're about an hour away from race time. The motor's here, the boat's over there, and Doug's standing right here. If it were me, I'd be starting to get a little nervous.
Nothing to worry about. They can put that engine in about 15 minutes. So we'll see him out on the hold rope here. John Haas right there. He fires it up. The Speed Sport Special, taking on what they call the chicken boat.
Doug Verstuft is going to need kind of a minor miracle here. Haas in the last round ran low ET and top speed of the meet. That's a red light start for Doug Verstuft. He knew he needed a little bit of help, and he tried to get too much.
John Haas betters his mark, 477, 243. That's low ET and top speed for the meet now, and it's also good enough to make the top 20 quickest passes of all time.
Let's watch again on the super clean super shot. Verstuft tries to stuff the nose coming off the starting line, but he squeezed the gas a little bit too early. Over on the left side, 243 miles an hour. Wonder what that's like inside.
Man, we're going to go for a ride and find out. He was going 211 miles an hour at half track. Here comes the hop.
Woo! Looks easier from there.
John Haas increasing that points lead, but one thing I've noticed here at Marble Falls, driver suit's dry, didn't go for a dip.
Yeah, the boys were nice to me. I had a bad week last week. We won't go into that right here, but got a little sore rib cage and sternum here, so they elected not to throw me in the pond.
Did that bother you at all today? I mean, you really had some rough water to contend with, and man, anyone who's ever injured a rib or in the chest area, any kind of movement really is tough on you.
Yeah, it was a little rough there all weekend, but when you win, you forget all about that.
How about a 243 and down on the bottom end mile per hour? You had a red light to contend with, and you still ran them down through the lights.
Yeah, this crew, I mean, I'll put them up against anybody in drag boat racing. They're the best. Amos Satterley, I mean, he tells me what it's going to do, and it does it. And
Let's talk about the championship now for 2008. At Marble Falls in 07, you had the series wrapped up. You clinched it. Now we got to go to San Diego next up. It's not clinched yet. You really can't get ahead of yourself yet, though, right?
Oh, by no means. San Diego, some heavy hitters are coming out there. We're going to have to stay on our game to win another championship here. By no means is it going to be a cakewalk the rest of the way in here. But again, I got the crew, the team to do it here, so we're banking it's going to happen.
Congratulations. We go to San Diego. It's a whole new surface. We're talking saltwater. More buoyancy, more problems, big rollers. We'll see you next time from San Diego.
Also, more bite and quicker speeds. We love it. John Haas on top of the points right now. Jarrett Silvi in hot pursuit.
Let's take a look at the other winners here in Marble Falls. In River Racer, it was Mark Creel. Brad Klug took home the trophy in stock, and your modified champ, Bob Prigmore. In Top Eliminator, Jeff Vale came out on top. It was Gary Davis whooping them all in pro, and your pro comp champion, Dave Lipinski. Congratulations to all our winners.
Hope you had a great time. We certainly had a great time bringing you all the action here from Marble Falls, Texas. This show has been produced by Lucas Oil Studios in high definition where available. For Terry Boyd and Alan Reinhardt, I'm Ken Stout. Thanks for watching the Lucas Oil IHBA Drag Boat Racing Series.